This is Urasawa Boys, a podcast where we read and discuss the works of manga artist and author Naoki Urasawa. Right now, we're reading Monster, and Monster deals with a lot of dark and troubling topics and themes, so a list of content warnings is going to be available in the show notes. Thanks for listening. I am Samuel Quinn Morris, my buddy over here.
Do I have to use my full name? I'm just going to say I'm Matt Fennell.
I mean, no, yeah, I mean,
we're not that
like
serious
my
yet.
full name.
We'll get there at some point. Yeah, I mean, you got a good full name.
Yeah, right?
But I'm Matt Fennell.
Yeah, it's Matt Fennell, which I think most people think your name is Fennel, as I did, and actually I was originally thinking for our podcast that the names, that the, like, order of names would be, like, Urasawa Boys with Matt Fennell and Quinn Morris, but then when I realized it was Fennell, I was like, oh, it's got to switch.
The cadence feels a little bit different. Yeah, and the thing is, like, I don't know. I've said this on every podcast that I'm on. I don't correct people about my name anymore. It's just kind of... But here's the thing. Living in the South, people get my name right more often than not now. Growing up in the North, it was tricky, but people get it down here, so...
Well, either way, who are we? What are we doing? Why are we doing this? We're just a couple of guys with a very small amount of media analysis experience. We have, like, some theater backgrounds. We both like to make tabletop RPGs. But I think it just comes down to the fact that we both like things.
Yeah, it's fun to like things.
Yeah, it's fun to like things. It's fun to talk about, think about things that you like. It's fun to be critical of them, and it's fun to be uncritical of them too sometimes. And I had, I'm a big Urasawa fan. I've read a lot of his bigger works, but not a lot of his smaller or less popular, like in the West, ones, especially since a lot of them aren't translated, which, in case you're wondering, is why we're not doing this in publication order, because some of that shit we just can't get our greasy little bug hams on. So we're starting with Monster because it's his most popular in the West by a pretty long shot. And we're gonna just keep moving through his works and maybe going back and reading some of the earlier stuff if we can find ways to access it, because I'm really interested in checking out Yaora and Happy and Pineapple Army. I'd love to see his evolution, but right now we just decided that, like, Monster is really cool, it's really accessible, people love thinking about it, people love talking about it. And Matt was already, Matt, didn't it start because you were, like, reading volume 1, and I was like, wait, holy shit.
Yeah, so I think that was the order. I don't remember what happened, but I decided I wanted to read some manga. I am much more familiar with comics, Western comics, than I am with manga in general. I've read, a Dragon Ball volume here or there, a little bit of One Piece, a few volumes of Akira, not a whole lot, some of the big stuff, but not a lot of the more like foundational stuff. Much more like Cape Comics from the West on my end. But I don't remember what it was, but I got in the mood to read some manga, so I bought some Devilman, I bought some Monster, and something else that was in, like, the Amazon suggested box. And I was talking to you about it, and you said it had been a while since you'd read it. It was one of your favorites, and you thought it'd be really fun to just kind of go through it and talk about it. Yeah. And we started there, and then you were saying, actually, also, I love Billy Bat. Also, there's this older stuff that I'd like to read. Also, Pluto owns. And I was like, oh yeah, I remember Pluto. I've heard of Pluto. And then 20th Century Boys, like, that cover thumbnail thing is always showing up in Amazon. It's always trying to get me to buy that. So I'm sure when we get there, I'll like that. But... things just kind of lined up where it felt like, we'd been talking about wanting to do a podcast about something, and this feels like it fits into the sort of things that we like. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah. And it also has that structure that I really enjoy of the one guy who knows a lot about the thing and the other guy who knows a little less. It's such a tried and tested format.
It's a fun dynamic.
Yeah, it totally is. And I also think that kind of as a person, you suit the guy who knows a little bit less about the thing role very well.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm excited to learn. As always, just kind of one of the things that I say a lot is, look, I'll try anything once.
Yeah, you're just an earnest sort.
I try to be, so I'm glad that it plays. But hey, before we start, so that's kind of like my origin story with Monster. Well, actually, I guess like if we step back, I had a roommate in college who was a big anime guy, and this was one of the ones that he talked about. The anime adaptation of Monster was one of the ones that he really really recommended. I never got around to it, but that's my origin story with this. How do you come to this?
Right. So, I come to this, like, also from a background in Cape Comics. I learned to read. I taught myself to read in large part on my dad's collection of Bronze Age comics. So I'm very, like, founded in that. And I was in therapy earlier this week just talking about how, like, learning to read on comics has really strongly influenced how I interpret my life and the world around me. So it's baked into me. And so, the visual storytelling, the combination of words and pictures, the sequential storytelling model is just a really deep part of me. And so when I discovered manga around the age of 10 or so. I think it was Hikaru no Go. I think that was my first one. Okay. Which is a manga about Go, the board game Go.
Okay.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. And it just kind of went from there. I was really really into manga, just pretty much ever since. Like once I realized that there were sites where you could read manga for free, I did that all the time. I spent a lot of time on that in middle school and high school. And, I honestly, I don't know when I first, like, stumbled across, oh my god, I just remembered this thing. When I was little, like maybe like 8, 9, my neighbor up the street, I spent a lot of time at his house. He actually had a couple of volumes of Pluto. Okay. So I had read some Pluto, but yeah, I think I must have, at some point in high school, maybe, something like that, I was like, let me sit down and give this Urasawa guy a little bit more of my time. And then as I got older and I had more money and I was spending it on manga, I was like, okay, so now is when I buy the fucking Urasawa volumes. And so, owning all of Monster is just really cool. Owning all of Pluto, super cool. This is stuff that I love having it. Urasawa's easily one of my favorites. I'm a big manga guy. I read manga more than I watch anime, and Urasawa really stands out to me, amongst his peers. Definitely not to talk down on any of the wonderful, wonderful artists who are making incredible stuff, but Urasawa's voice and approach has always been very unique, literary, and, dare I say, very Western. In its construction in a way that even a lot of seinen isn't. Which, there's a lot of manga artists that are really interested in the West, and I think Urasawa and Hirohiko Araki are probably, like, tied as the manga authors that like the West the most. Mm-hmm. And in very similar ways and in very different ways. But yeah, so I think Urasawa is great. I think he really writes stuff that gets to what I like about stories. He writes incredible characters, big casts, really engaging mysteries. I'm a big mystery guy. So, yeah, that was maybe a little more long-winded than it needed to be. No,
that's good context, and that's, I think, one of the things that I'm going to be interested in as we go through this is just because, like, even today in this first chunk of reading, I have some notes that are just like, okay, this feels like stuff that I know just from the anime that I've watched, from memes about manga and anime, right? And I'm kind of interested in having some context and, like, how does that compare to what else is out there, stuff like that. So
yeah, I'll be able to help out with that for sure.
Definitely excited about that. So hey, how do we want to do this? Because I know initially we talked about just stealing the structure of, like, the range touch stuff, where we start with a summary and then go through stuff that we think is interesting.
That's kind of how I was figuring it. We can fine tune it along the way.
Okay. Do you want to? I know you wrote some summary for this first chunk.
Yeah, there's some summary. But I want to start off with talking just for a quick second about who Naoki Urasawa is.
Perfect.
So Naoki Urasawa, born January 2nd, 1960. He basically started drawing, manga comics when he was 4 years old, and he pretty much never stopped. Like, that's always what he wanted to be. That's always what he did. And when you read interviews with the guy, which I've tracked down as many English interviews as I can find, he talks a lot about how making certain decisions for him is like breathing. He's like, it's natural at this point, and I fucking buy it. I mean, what, like 60, he's what, like 58? No, he's not 58. He's
63, I think.
He's 62. So he's 62 and he's been making manga for 58 years. Yeah, I buy that it's like breathing. So that's really, that's really cool. He has spent most of his career working on 2 series at the same time.
Okay. That's
not normal.
Okay, that was going to be my question. I didn't think it was, but I was.
It's not. It helps that he's, as far as I know, except maybe like Pineapple Army, but I'm pretty sure that all of his stuff has been monthly instead of weekly. He's always been in that monthly zone, so that might make it a little easier. But it also makes a lot of sense when there's this great video where he gets interviewed about his manga making process, and you see him draw, and he draws terrifyingly quickly. And I can only imagine that intense confidence in speed is what has allowed him to write and create that much goddamn manga simultaneously. It's really insane. And it also helps, and this is a really important note, many of his most iconic series were co-written with a dude named Takashi Nagasaki, who is credited with basically creating the producer role in the manga industry. So their relationship is very special, and they have co-authored a lot of the big hits. And I think that also is what has allowed them to write more than one thing at a time, because it's not just him writing 2 things. It's 2 people working together, and it's something that I really wish there was more information kind of available to me about, because I'm it is impossible for us, with the information that we have right now, to separate out when we're reading this, what's Urasawa, what's Takashi, and so I just kind of want to lay it down for all the listeners that whenever we say Urasawa did this, Urasawa did that, there is a silent Urasawa and Nagasaki did that. It was a team effort. I really want to make sure that Nagasaki is given his due on this podcast.
No, that's good to put up there at the front.
So, we are currently reading Monster. Monster is a complex psychological thriller that follows a surgeon named Kenzo Tenma across Europe in a game of deadly cat and mouse with a terrifying serial killer. It ran from December of 1994 until December of 2001, crossing over production with his previous series Happy until 1999, and then 20th Century Boys from 1999 until the end of its run. And of course, 20th Century Boys then continues. I also I have a different version of the premise, which I'll just read.
Yes, bonus.
Bonus. Dusseldorf, Germany, 1986. A surgeon named Dr. Tenma saves a child's life. What happens next will shock you. And here is the more serious version of the summary of today's reading. And we're reading this in 8 chapter segments, which are the size of the original tankobons. We have the
I've got the Perfect Edition.
That's what it's called.
Which I think
Perfect
is 2
Edition.
Tankobons in one.
It is. Yes, they are each 16 chapters. So we're reading this in 8 chapter chunks or 1 volume chunks, and they're very clean. So chapters 1 through 8. Kenzo Tenma is a skilled neurosurgeon in Germany with a bright future ahead of him until he chooses to save a small child instead of the mayor, effectively ending his career. However, the people in charge of the hospital are mysteriously killed with poisoned candy, and he is made head of surgery. 9 years later, Tenma saves the life of a murderer named Adolf Junkers, who claims that his murder buddies were employed and subsequently killed by a, open quote, monster, end quote. When Junkers vanishes from the hospital, Tenma follows him to a parking garage, where it is revealed that the child he saved was not only the monster that hired Junkers to do the killings, but also that he was the culprit behind the poisoned candy murders 9 years ago.
Yeah, that's much more succinct than I think I would have been able to do.
It is 5 sentences.
Wow,
I
good
did
5
swing
sentence
it.
summary. There
I
you
did
go.
swing it. Yeah, 5
did
sentence
it.
summary. I don't think
Perfect.
we're gonna stick to that, but
No,
I did manage it this time.
But it's good to be aspirational.
Yeah.
I
Definitely.
just right from the start, I think the thing that is interesting in that summary, as someone who's a first-time reader to this, I don't know how it goes. I don't know the mystery. The implication from those first 8 chapters is that this monster is the boy that Tenma saved. I don't know if that's actually how it ends up going, but like that's the like the twist at the end of, or not, like that's like the big dramatic reveal in the, it's the implication throughout that this boy is who poisoned these doctors that died, and then is the reveal, quote, scare quotes reveal when he kills Junkers is, I was that boy, I don't go by that name anymore, but oh, you saved me, and now look at me, I'm the monster.
Yeah, it's a nibble. It's a little nibble. When I think about like what I like about Urasawa's work, mystery is really at the heart of it. And I don't think that he considers himself a mystery author. I think that he just tries to write interesting things, and the most interesting things
it's a mystery, of course.
Are mysteries.
Yeah.
People trying to find something out. People innately tied to things they don't understand. That's just, there's so much to do there. But, I've done the lion's share of the talking so far. So Matt, if you have anything like what'd you think of this 8-chapter segment? Like just kind of general thoughts, and then we'll launch into the chapter by chapter kind of breakdown.
Yeah, no, just like from the jump, you mentioned in kind of like the run up, like Urasawa's known for, maybe not known for, but has kind of like a Western feel to some of his works, and I would say the other word I think that I would use is specifically like Western cinema, like a lot of, I think of a lot of not even like crime movies, but like crime thriller movies. The 3 specifically that I kind of called out in my notes were 2 Hannibal Lecter movies, right? Which, I mean, those are just like the serial killer movies, I think is the thing. So you've got Michael Mann's Manhunter in 1986, which is an adaptation of a novel called Red Dragon. So, and I think there's kind of like a really direct link there, because the epigram or the epigraph to, at least to the Perfect Edition, is that verse in Revelation that is the, about the monster and the red dragon and stuff like that.
Oh,
so there's
really?
there's some shared DNA there. And then Silence of the Lambs. And then the last one that I was going to do was Fincher movies, right? Because the thing that I think of when I think of David Fincher is just like very strong, singular main characters that are just like people doing a job very, methodically, like workman-like. I don't know. It makes ordinary stuff feel very heightened, I think is the thing. Because Zodiac is a movie about newspaper guys writing about the Zodiac killer. 7 is about cops hunting down a weird serial killer. Girl with the Dragon Tattoo is about a guy who, I think that's another one about like a reporter who is trying to find a murderer. It seems like with 7 as the exception, Fincher movies are a lot about like regular people going toe to toe with just like horrific human evil in a very ordinary setting, and it gritty feels wrong, but gritty,
I'd give gritty to Monster,
Well, it's weird because like the visually what I think of when I look at these pages is almost it just feels very like I'm looking at it almost through like a film. It's very light, and I think that has to do with the style, right? That it's more of like a cartoonish caricature style for like the individual character drawings. I'm not gonna go as far as saying, oh, it looks like a movie that's like, you know, shot with Vaseline on the lens or something like that, right? Where it's
Sure.
like, you know, you've got all the soft lights and stuff like that, but it does feel a little. I don't know if just visually grit is not the word that I would use, but there definitely are bits and pieces where it will just jump from that kind of cartoony style to, oh, just here's like a shockingly well rendered gutter, or just like horrible grit and grizzle as Tenma performs surgery and stuff like that.
So I do have some interesting context to bring in here. So that the thing you're talking about, where you have like this kind of the realistic world and then the slightly less realistic characters, is a visual style that is traditional, you could say, in manga. Okay. It is a style that has a long history. There is a particular author who did a lot of work, I want to say, like through the 70s, 80s, or maybe like 60s through the 80s. I'm showing my ass a little bit here because like I know the guy, but he made a work called Hitler, I'm pretty sure, which was like a manga biography of Hitler. And the really striking thing about that work visually is that the backgrounds and the whole world are rendered in incredible realism, and then Hitler himself is this total like wacky caricature thing. Okay. And so like, and I think that particular author's work was very influential. And so you'll see, you know, when you see authors like do this, it is part of a lineage of this kind of like, when a manga that is taking place in something intended to be the real world, you're going to see maybe a little bit lower realism on the characters, even though the world itself is rendered very realistically. This isn't 100% true. There's some artists that really revel in total realism. The guy who did Gantz comes to mind, or the guy, believe it or not, the artist for Dr. Stone. A lot of his other work is really intensely realistic in nature. Oh, okay. Yeah, Dr. Stone's really interesting artistically. Boichi, that's the guy's name. So that's an interesting thing to pick up on.
I like it a lot. I think it makes it really readable. It's just like another one of the things, right? Is because you can spend, because I don't know about you, like I read comics pretty fast.
Same.
But I so mostly just kind of blasting through panels, but there's so much detail in every single one. It's easy to read, but there's enough depth in every spread, every page, whatever, that there's like something cool that you can look at. I can't imagine how long this took. Yeah. Like some of those detail shots.
You know, what you can't imagine is how long it didn't take.
Yeah, exactly.
Fucking Urasawa. Well, I mean, the backgrounds are the assistants. Usually that's how it goes in manga studios, is that the author / artist is going to be taking care of the principal characters and the blocking and everything for the scene, and then the assistants are coming in and doing the backgrounds. That's normally how it goes. Which may also account for art styles where the background and the characters have slightly different feelings to them.
Gotcha.
Okay. But talking about the readability and the depth and how much of interest there is on each panel, it's also a good time to mention that like Urasawa writes what he sometimes calls face-only manga. His editors used to tell him, you can't make face-only manga, and he was like, well, why can't I? Until he actually says, he gives some advice to aspiring manga artists, and he says, it's all about facial expression. And if you want to dive into the world of manga, you should spend time acting. You should spend time in the theater to understand how to realistically portray emotions and subtle variations in emotions on the characters' faces. That's something that Urasawa is always giving place of pride to.
Yeah. No. Okay. So that kind of leads into something that I'd written in my notes, which I just the thing that I noticed going back through it again today was, because there's a lot of characters that are kind of introduced in this first section, and
Yeah.
you can kind of immediately tell what each of these characters' deals are because of their faces, right? And then specifically because of how their eyes are drawn, right? I think is like the big thing. You get just a real good immediate vibe on what kind of character you're dealing with based on how their eyes are drawn. And like, of course, in the real world, that's not something we'd want to do, but it is like a really good visual shorthand here, right? I mean, like you get Tenma, like nice, kindly eyes. Ava, like, those conceited. How can eyes look conceited? I don't know, but they did, right?
Yeah.
The director's eyes are like not nice, right? They're kind of selfish looking. Dr. Becker, like the eyes look like they're almost constantly in like an eye roll or something like that, laid back, fun, irresponsible. My favorite, well, when we go through the the individual chapters, my favorite run of panels at the end is it's like you said, it's the face shots, right? It's like a full page of just shots on eyes as the monster walks by Tenma. And it is amazing because I think it's something that's easy to take for granted in manga sometimes, just as like an outsider a little bit. Is like, I mean, if you go to Wikipedia, right, I think the category image for manga is just stereotypical manga eyes, right? But there is just so much going on here in these simple little face drawings, and the eyes are the window to the soul, blah blah blah, whatever. Lots of symbolism there on top of just being like a good tool to make this all readable.
Yeah, no, totally. The eyes are really big, and he has a huge command of, of how to move the parts of the face to communicate all of the different feelings. I love how much attention he pays to constructing faces. Like this is it. Like you want to talk about a guy who has the opposite of same face syndrome.
Oh.
Like all of his characters are so different because I think something that my eyes are always drawn to when I'm reading Urasawa is the noses. His noses are so... Each character's nose is so distinct. And I think that's also... I think his command of noses and jawlines are also what give him the ability to communicate nationality.
Okay.
In a way that a lot of other authors kind of don't. I'm not saying they can't, it's just that they don't really bother to do it. But Urasawa, as an artist, is interested in representing different ethnicities as appearing different, especially once we get to a point where we start seeing like Japanese or Asian characters in his work. A lot of times he will go for straight up like almost racist caricature of like slanted eyes and even buck teeth sometimes. It's really, really fascinating kind of his personal approach to depicting race. There's not a lot of it. Like, it doesn't look like there's a lot of it right here because everybody here's white.
Well, yeah, Junkers' nose really stood out to me, I think. Junkers in particular, like, that's a good face. And it's I think the sadness in the eyes, and then just kind of like the long face with the long nose, I think just, again, gives you an immediate read on this character. Like, totally. Kind of a sap, right?
Yeah, kind of a sap. The hair, the kind of gross, greasy hair. Yeah. The eyebrows on the director of the hospital are really, they're so full of character. They're so like bushy, like they're made up of these like upward strokes. There's not that's all they are. It's just a collection of upward strokes, and I just think that's really neat. It's super cool. There's other artistic stuff that I want to talk about, but I think that we can move on to talking about what actually happens a little bit. Okay, so all right, chapter 1.
Oh, you have a note here that says, okay, starting right at the beginning with the epigram, right? And I wrote about this in my notes, right?
Yes.
So you say, what's up
Yes,
with this?
the epigram. Let's read the epigram out.
So this is, the manga opens, there's 1 or 2 pages just of a hospital, you know, doctors congratulating each other after a good surgery, and then we have the epigram, which says, "And I saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And they worshipped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, and they worshipped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him?" The Revelation of St. John the Divine, chapter 13, verses 1 through 4. So, a bit of background about me. I grew up in a evangelical Christian church, a denomination called Seventh-day Adventists, which are the kind of like elevator pitch for that. I'm not gonna talk about church too much because, you know, that's not always fun on a podcast. But the like Cliff Notes is we're kind of somewhere between Baptists and Methodists, but we go to church on Saturday. Back in the 1800s, there was a whole thing where people did a bunch of math and on specifically the books of Daniel and Revelation, and came to the conclusion that Christ was coming back on, I think, October 12, 1844, somewhere in there. Of course, he didn't. And then after that, they kind of reevaluate and go back through and do a bunch of scripture reading and come up with a new denomination out of that. But so kind of one of the things that's at the core of the church is a lot of this kind of really close reading of Daniel and Revelation. I went to church school like all my life. Oh yeah, that's
really convenient for this podcast.
Yeah, so we have these things called Revelation seminars that will happen every once in a while, where it's like that's our outreach, right? Is we'll have like, it's like camp meetings where it's just like, or like tent meetings where it's just like, hey, are you worried about the end of the world? Like, we're gonna do a week-long after work Bible study where we just go through like all the stuff about Revelation and, you know, what it means, and, you know, all these symbols and our interpretations and readings of them. So it's been a while since I've been in one of those. I was in, at the very beginning of COVID, I was in a remote group that was doing more on Daniel than Revelation, and there's different stuff in there, but there's one of the things that they like to do is kind of draw lines between the two of them and say, okay, this thing is similar to this and that and the other. Sure. But this chapter specifically, Revelation 13, the beast of Revelation, growing up, the reading, so like big picture, the reading of this one, at least in my church denomination, is, okay, this is symbolic of a alliance between church and state power, right, that is going to just be oppressive towards a bunch of people. Right. So that's like really big picture. Lots of people, lots of specific churches will have different ideas of what that means. You know, growing up, I would hear a lot, oh, the beast of Revelation is the Pope and Catholics. Right. And then, okay. But my own personal interpretation of it, like, to me, it feels like it lines up a lot more with what we see of just like the alliance between the American evangelical churches and the kind of right-wing political movement here. Like, that's what it feels like to me, right? It's this alliance between two things. You've got a monster and a dragon, right? And the Antichrist, all that stuff in there. It's, you know, I'll have to do some reading to remember what all that means so I can draw more closely to things as it's happening in the work. But usually it's, hey, there's two things. One is like the front-facing thing, and then the other is the behind-the-scenes, you know, scary, spooky Satan or whatever. Okay. But also it's just like, it's good apocalyptic biblical imagery, right, of the end of the world and stuff coming up out of the sea. So
yeah, like, I'm definitely, like, I'm curious to see if this has almost any thematic connection with what happens in the story, because the answer could well be no.
Yeah, I think that's the nice thing about Revelation is it's so abstract, right, that you can lay a lot onto it, just in a lot of different ways. So I'll be curious to see what happens. So that's kind of that's what's up with that. We'll come back to it, I promise.
Cool. Okay, great. Yeah, I definitely, I want to keep an eye out for that, and like, I certainly don't recall there being a lot of Christian philosophy in this manga.
It doesn't seem like it from these first 8 chapters, so I was kind of a little bit surprised that that's what we opened with.
Yeah. I think it's just a cool set of lines, I guess. You know, it also reminds me a bit of Urasawa has said that the way he starts making a manga is he will create a movie trailer for it in his head. And he'll think about it more and more until he gets so excited he has to write the whole thing. And, like, I don't know what the movie trailer was for this, but I wonder if that epigram might have something to do with it. I don't know, but it just seems... How do I put it? I guess the epigram feels a little bit like maybe a darling that perhaps ought to have been killed. Because it's cool as shit, but like, what does it link into? What does it tie to? I don't really know. Aside from
to me, it feels like it ties back to
Monster.
the Hannibal Lecter movie. Like, honestly, if I was gonna guess, it's that feels like maybe the strongest tie. But
he's a film guy. He does like movies a lot. So okay, we'll keep an eye out for that. Okay, but here we are, chapter 1. My first note, Herr Dr. Tenma. Who's Dr. Tenma again? By which I just mean, like, what impression of Tenma do you get?
what a soft face on this boy in the first chapter. What a soft, clean-shaven face. Nice hair. Just a good doctor. He's doing his best. He's so earnest. He's so sad. He's so sad. Already. Nothing's gone wrong for him, and he's already so sad.
Nothing's gone wrong. He's already like, a very... I don't know, because he's interesting, because, like... He's... not exactly... I don't know. He's a little bland. He's a little bit of a bland dude.
He's kind of a dope, a little bit. Yeah.
He's a bit of a dope, and the thing is that you gotta understand, it's not like Urasawa isn't capable of writing interesting characters. Every other character in chapter 1 is slightly more interesting than he is.
Yeah.
And other protags of his are also more immediately interesting. So, like, with that context, we have to understand that Urasawa made him this way on purpose, right? Urasawa designed him like this. And I don't necessarily... I think it's cool to see how he changes and also how he doesn't change. I'm interested to see if maybe you can help me suss out, like, a purpose or a reason why Urasawa might have wanted to keep Tenma a little bit subdued, might be a good word. Because it's not like he doesn't have interiority. It's not like he's not written as a full-fledged person. He is. He's just a subdued person.
I would say he's much more two-dimensional than three-dimensional. And I hate when people use those terms because I don't always 100% understand what they mean, but I know enough, right? Where it's like, okay, how many motivations does this person have is kind of like the really simple way of breaking it down. And I mean, if I was going to one-dimensional, Tenma is a doctor. Two-dimensional, he is a good doctor who cares about being a good doctor. And that's like, that feels like that is the core of his being. At least for right now. So I'm interested to see
for this reading, I would say that that's absolutely the case. You have correctly identified the angles of Tenma as this reading sees him. Yeah. And then there's the interesting fact that for the first, for a good chunk of the really beginning of Monster, it's a medical manga. It's like a medical drama with the hospital politics and everything. And in your notes, you said it's a little clunky.
Well, the thing that feels clunky to me is kind of the stuff when Becker's talking a little bit, right? Because there's this whole the inciting incident is Tenma's the star surgeon. He does surgery on like an opera singer instead of this like workman that's brought in through no fault of his own. It's just kind of he does what he's assigned to do, and then a little bit later the workman's family shows up and his wife screams at Tenma and says, it's not fair, my husband was brought in first, you should have operated on him first. And his girlfriend, you've called out this line, his girlfriend, the hospital director's daughter, when he brings this up, she just kind of offhandedly says, oh, well, some lives are worth more than others, which is like a monstrous thing to say. And the manga knows it, and Tenma knows it, and then he brings it up to the director, who kind of the director has a different take on it, right? He's like, hey, we're a research hospital first and foremost. Like, the research that we're doing is what's most important. That's what's going to save the most lives. Which, of course, the way he's doing research is kind of selfish and self-aggrandizing and stuff like that. But it complicates the is one life more than another. And then Becker just really lays it out, which, he just kind of says like, hey, it's politics. You do what you do. Some doors open, some doors close, and it sucks. We don't care about people, whatever, blah. And it feels a little straightforward, moralizing in the same way that like, last night we were reading Denny O'Neil Question, and that is another one where it's just like, it's screaming it's politics. But I think sometimes you have to do that, right? And it's like, that's a really strong foundation. It's like, hey, this is what we think is important in this story, and this is what I want you to be thinking about as we go forward. So it's a little bit clunky, but I don't think it doesn't work. I think it works.
But that's kind of the weird thing, right? Is that a lot of this stuff is really about establishing like here's this character's stance on the value of human life. Here's this character's stance on the value of human life. And especially within the structure of the hospital system. And I'll just tell you, these questions are not important for very long. But the question of who is Tenma? What does Tenma believe? What does Tenma value? I think setting up Ava and her father, and Becker, and all of these other characters, and being like, here's what this person thinks about it. Here's what this person thinks about it. All of it is meant to contextualize who Tenma is and why he feels the way that he does, and why he makes the choices he makes. And as the story moves forward, we see Tenma reevaluating his positions, and we see Tenma, being forced to grapple with other constructions of value. And so I think probably that like this, all of this medical manga stuff is really in service of being like, not, who Tenma is now.
It's almost a trick, right? It's almost a trick, because it's like, oh, well, of course, it tricks you into feeling the way that Tenma does, right? Which is like, well, the only thing that matters is that I'm doing the right thing and operating on the person who came in first. And then as soon as that goes bad, it's like, you realize immediately, like, oh, damn, that was really naive. And it tricks you into taking that naive position.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it's, because, like, how do you not take the naive position when confronted with
it's
this,
so black
with this
and white.
Fucking,
it's
like, rich jerk? It's so black and white. I have a note. Where is it? Yeah, I have a note for chapter 4. The hospital director is just such a character. Mm-hmm. Ava gets some great characterization, also especially later. Oh my god. Ava is one of the most interesting characters in the whole series.
See, this is interesting because she feels extremely one note, just spoiled like gold digger.
She is. But yeah, it expands. It expands rather quickly. We start getting more notes for Ava in the next reading, I think. But the director, like her dad, one dimension, single dimension. It's executed really, really well, and it's a lot of fun because you love to hate him. This shithead, and when he's like, your career is over, and you're like, oh, you son of a bitch. Yeah, and I also made a note about Becker. I said, hey, Becker, here to lay it out for dummies, because like,
yeah, that's what he does.
I also wanted to talk about, there's something that he does that, lots of comics artists do, but I think that he does to particularly good effect, which is, he has really good transitions. He has really good juxtapositions between things. In chapter 1, the one that I noted, so when the wife of the dead workman, she pounds on Tenma's chest. She's like, I want my husband back. Bring him back. And there's a panel of her fist hitting his chest, and then it cuts straight to an external dinner shot of like a fancy street, and then it's a fancy dinner with Tenma and Ava, and that's like, you want to talk about what visual storytelling can do. Like, that right there is such a powerful statement with not a word spoken. You know, it's like Urasawa is saying, these two things exist in the same world in the same day, like an hour apart.
Jeez.
You know, and it's like you fucking sit with that. You sit with that.
Yeah. Oh, and it works really well. Like, you can feel he's still thinking about it because, I mean, well, for us, you know, it's 2 panels away. Of course he's still thinking about it, but it really does just that, hey, this is still echoing through what's going on now. And it, you know, it keeps cutting back to that chest pound. I think that's the highlight of this chapter, is those flashbacks, and his realization.
Yeah.
We get some good eye shots, I think, that end that chapter.
There's one more thing I wanted to talk about in the chapter visually, which is the transition. There's a transition. So when the police are like going into the house, at the bottom of one page, and this is the left page, right? Manga, right to left. So at the bottom of the left page, the police burst in through the door, and then we turn the page, and we are greeted with this really like, almost like true crime, like, not like, is it super duper gory? No. But you see this couple that's been shot dead, and the way the bodies are laying is so realistic. The eyes open on the husband and the blood on the couch. Like, it is gorier than, in this sense, it is gorier and more full of horror than many gore things that I've actually like read that are about gore.
It's shocking, and I think the page turn works really well. I wonder if in the original serialization this was a page turn as well, because it feels like, oh, I'm opening the door, right? Like, there it is, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And Urasawa uses this device, this mechanism, many times to great effect. And this is just a really like early taste of it, and just a really particularly good lesson. For anyone who's like, hey, what's like a basic rhetorical device I can use in this medium? And the answer is hide things.
Behind pages.
Hide things behind the next page. It's really effective. It's really
Hey,
good.
do you want to move on to chapter 2 so we can just kind of, because I think we could talk about each of these for probably half an hour, but if let's
easy, but yeah, we gotta
keep moving so I don't have to edit 6 hours of footage.
Yeah. Not every chapter has as much to talk about as chapter 1. And it's also crazy because like a lot of manga have like extra long first chapters to introduce everything. Not so with Monster. Chapter 1 is like 30 something pages. I think all of them are 30 something pages, you know. And we'll really see that like Urasawa knows how to make some chapters paced slow and others paced quickly. Like, I took notes on the different types of pacing in each chapter, and he's clearly choosing the pacing and guiding us through it quite deftly. He's not leaving anything to chance. So let's talk about chapter 2. I didn't have a lot of notes on this one. It's mostly just Tenma and the director, and the director's just being a medical fucker.
Yeah, it's a continuation of some of that drama, right? Of like, you know, he's the way he's making Tenma do his research, kind of what is more important, you know, some lives are worth more than others, that stuff kind of repeated. But then we have Tenma getting to the hospital at the same time as the kind of closer of chapter 1 is there's a murder. There's these 2 diplomats who have immigrated or have I think escaped from East Germany to West Germany.
Oh yeah. The timing is super important.
Yeah, this is Berlin Wall.
Berlin Wall, like the Cold War, and specifically the differences between East and West Germany play a major role in this series. Okay. Like, fucking major. The politics, and again, this isn't like a Cold War thing. It's not East versus West. It's just kind of what that Cold War period was kind of like a little bit more on the ground, and some of the fuckery that happened. That's a really big aspect of what goes on in the series.
Okay. Yeah. So, and that's kind of what I figured. I thought the first time I read it, I thought that was really interesting. I was like, oh yeah, that's a neat thing to include. And I did kind of gloss over it today. But yeah, so there's the two diplomats are killed, and there's a set of twins, twin children. The boy has been shot. The girl is in like a catatonic state. So they are rushed into the hospital at about the time that Tenma is called in. He is getting ready to go into surgery on the boy when he is told, hey, we need you to come do surgery on the mayor instead. He's still got all the stuff, is one life more than another. I want my husband back, echoing in his ears. He sees that the doctor, it's Dr. Becker, is going to be the one who does the surgery on the boy. He likes Dr. Becker, but doesn't think he's particularly talented, which I think is
true.
I think is a real good moment, because it's like, this is a character we're supposed to like. This is someone who's a good guy, but he's still just. Tenma's like, well, no. What's Tenma's defining trait? He's a good doctor, right? And he's like, well, Becker is not a good doctor. So
wait. Is it Boyer? Oh,
well,
yeah,
Boyer's
no, it is
gonna
Becker.
Boyer's going to do surgery on he leaves Boyer to do surgery on the mayor, and says, Becker, you're not going to do surgery on this boy.
Yeah, totally.
And he takes the lead on it instead. He's able to save the boy, but the mayor dies, is kind of what happens here.
Yeah, and that's the entire chapter. And, like, you can fucking see right there, holy shit, like, how much less happened in this chapter. It's basically just a conversation, and then Tenma being faced with this choice, and then he makes the choice. And that's kind of that. The surgery doesn't even happen in this chapter. So it's.
Oh yeah, sure enough.
Yeah, the surgery mostly happens.
3.
Yeah, in chapter 3. I wanted to see, how do you feel about the last panel of chapter 2, where we see Anna Liebert blankly staring into nothingness and just saying, "Kill."
Oh well,
how do you feel about that?
See, the way that I read this is just, and I feel like this is another thing where I'm being tricked. But my immediate read is, oh well, she knew her brother is the monster, and she was able. I think the brother shot the two parents, and then she shot him to stop or whatever. And then as they're twins, or at least the story has told us that they're twins. So there's some sort of twin stuff going on. She's in a catatonic state because of that, but she is trying to prevent him from. I think she's had a glimpse of what he's going to become, and is trying to stop it. Is what's going on here. Is at least that's what it feels like. Damn. The story is trying to make me think is going to happen here.
Hell yeah. Well, first off, Matt. Wow. Nice.
Well, I don't know. I watch a lot of. I don't know. I watched a lot of cop shows in high school. I think is the big thing here.
Well, it's funny because, like, I've spent so much of my life hanging out with stories and mystery stories, but, like, part of my MO as a reader of media is I don't theorize.
Okay. Oh,
I don't question. I question nothing. I question absolutely nothing. I'll question, like, formal elements. I'll question structure. But, like, in terms of the story being presented to me, I never try to guess anything. I'm always along for the ride. Which I think is why I like JoJo's as much as I do.
Yeah, because that is mostly right. You can't guess what's gonna happen next there.
You just can't. Yeah. Yeah, but for me, when I see this, and I'm like, I'm not thinking 5 steps ahead. I'm kind of like, I guess it's supposed to kind of frighten me or unsettle me.
Oh no, it's scary. It's not good.
Well, I was just about to say that something about this last panel, maybe it's just as someone who's read it before, and who's very familiar with the material. But there's something about this last panel just being this girl saying "kill" that feels a little hokey to me.
Yeah, it's a bit much, I think. Yeah, but I'll forgive it. I'll let it do it. I'm gonna.
Yeah.
I'll allow it.
I also allow it. I'm just saying I feel like it's a tiny bit hokey. Okay, let's pop out to chapter 3.
Yeah, I do want to call out really quick at the beginning of chapter 3 during the surgery montage. There's some real good the trope of people talking about someone doing something really well in manga, but about a guy doing surgery. There's 3 doctors watching Tenma do the surgery. And they're going, amazing technique. That bullet was an extremely difficult sight, and he made it look so easy.
Yeah, no, I love that.
Really
There's
good.
actually, it's really funny too because there's a manga I really love called Team Medical Dragon, which is basically like if you took the first like few pieces of Monster and we're just like, no, that's the whole thing. The whole manga is just a medical drama. It's really good. But yeah, okay, so they do the surgery. He saves him, but guess what? The mayor dies.
Oh no.
Oh man, and just the shit, and nobody is happy.
Oh, everyone is upset.
Everyone is so pissed.
So upset.
It sucks. It sucks. It's a really it feels shitty. You feel shitty reading it. My pacing note for this chapter is it could be a quick read, but you just don't want to turn the next page. Oh man, that really hurts.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of something that really hurts, Urasawa uses screen tone to communicate stuff plenty. Like any mangaka. And when I say screen tone, that's like what you get when a character says something in a manga and they are surrounded by a little spiky light halo, or there's some shadow in the corner or whatever, right? That's screen tone.
Okay.
And there's a really powerful use of it. Right after the other surgeons finish reaming Tenma out, and a nurse comes up, and it's just like, Dr. Tenma, the boy's blood pressure, he's good, his vital signs are all stable, and there's one panel of just Tenma, and this panel, both of these panels, like the sequence of them is so good. So there's Dr. Tenma, we see him from behind, there's no background in the panel, it's just Tenma. Just a small square panel of Tenma on white. And then the next panel, him looking over the shoulder at the camera. He says, good. I'm glad to hear it. And the entire background of the panel is this black to gray gradient.
There's just a little bit of light. There's a little bit of hope here. Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
I don't even feel... That's not my read on it at all. My read on it is the good of this situation in no way outweighs the bad.
Oh, yeah, no, it's mostly black. But there's... Yeah.
It's mostly yeah, and he has a really faint almost smile, and...
Oh, he's just exhausted. This is some real Spider-Man throwing the suit into the trash can.
Oh, man, energy. Big time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And especially seeing him, again, we were talking about, how he looks depressed in bed. He's leaned against the wall.
He's got the pajama pants on. Those don't come out. From experience, those don't come out unless things aren't going well.
And then we see Tenma, kind of being tired and feeling shitty. Becker comes in and is just like, it's fine, who cares?
We can just be fun doctors together.
Yeah, we can... Yeah, making it to the top ain't everything in this world, Dr. Tenma. Just being a doctor is good enough for a lot of women.
I forgot that's where he goes, but of course that's where he goes. It's good, yeah.
I know. And I love his little smile. I love his smile when he goes, come on, it'll be just a thing. You need to cut loose. He's got such, this little shit-eating grin,
That's some real Kramer energy.
Oh, man, nail on the head there. Wow. Yeah, dude, fuck yeah.
Because it's not George Costanza. It's Kramer.
It's Kramer. Yeah. And then, Anna is just wandering around the hospital whispering, kill.
Looking like a Victorian ghost.
Yeah, big time Victorian ghost energy on this one. Real grudge stuff. Again, heavy-handed, but I like this one a little better.
Oh, me too.
I would have preferred... I almost feel like...
If we just did it here instead of earlier?
Yeah, we should have just done this one. Then there's the party. Then there's the party where they're like, I'd like to ask our chief neurosurgeon to say a few words. And Tenma's like, oh, that's me. And the director is like, no, it's not. Oh man. Ugh.
Yeah, there's a good there's a good shocked reaction shot there. There's some good. It's and then the rest of the party just goes poorly for him. We've got Ava giving him back the ring, saying you're such a fool, going off to flirt with a different doctor. Him just being there in shock.
And it's Dr. Norden. What a cuck.
Yeah.
Dr. Norden
That's not
is
even
such
a real dude. That's just
dweeb. That's they made up a guy. Yeah.
What an elegant suit.
Jeez. What an elegant suit. Yeah.
So Tenma goes back to the doctor, the hospital, because he's depressed about this party. He goes to check in on the boy.
Yeah.
He's clearly a little buzzed, I think. And just kind of upset about this whole situation. Talking to the boy about, trying to justify to himself the choices that he's made. Some lives are not worth more than others, and then he kind of gets angry, and is ranting.
Yeah, which is a great moment, because I love the times when Tenma has an emotion to show to the audience.
Oh, this is the most we've seen on his face, because most of the time his face is very simple, right? Not a lot, no wrinkles, no stubble, whatever. But here we've got anger lines, we've got bags under the eyes. He's getting very animated with how. You know what?
I'm just wondering. This makes me think. So we see him angry. We see him angry. We hear him angry.
Yeah, we get the text
we've mostly
boxes
just seen him
spiky.
Spiky, yeah. Yeah. So that is chapter 3, and it ends with this absolutely disgusting panel. This awful to look at panel of Johann's eyes half open.
Oh, it's terrible. And the breathing tube and everything.
It's just so gross to look at, and is so full. The thing is that it's full of something. And I don't think that I could really put a word on what this picture makes me full of. But I'm full of it.
Dread, yeah.
Yeah, but it's dread. What the fuck?
Well, I think especially after, because of what Tenma says as he leaves. He says, "You opened my eyes as a doctor. Hang in there. Fight for your life. I gave up everything to perform your surgery. That's how much I wanted to save your life." And then we just get this whatever that's going.
Yeah, it's just
because I don't know. I go back and forth on whether I think that's a selfish read or not. Right? I gave up everything. That's how much I wanted to save your life. Right? Is it the? I don't know. I'm gonna continue to think about that. I'm clipping this out because I don't have full thoughts on this yet. But
no, I mean, I don't think you have to clip it out because I have a thought. I think my read on that is less selfish and more self-satisfied. Yes. Kenzo is proud of himself. He feels internal harmony. His actions are in alignment with his beliefs, and I think that's why he says what he says. All right, let's move on to chapter 4, Brother and Sister.
This one it's political stuff. The director is trying to get some, the mayor's dead, but they're trying to get something out of saving these diplomats' children. So they're going to do a big media play, I think, where they reunite the brother and the sister, because the sister is still kind of catatonic, the brother's still asleep. And they're going to make it a big media moment, and Tenma is very unhappy about this.
Yeah, totally. We get a little bit more time with Becker, being Becker. Well, heck, Doctor, your attitude certainly changed. By the way, the anime, the dub for Monster is really good.
Oh,
and
is it?
I love
to hear it.
It is actually. It's very 90s, but that suits it, for obvious reasons. I love Becker's VA.
I'm gonna have to watch it once we finish, yeah.
Yeah, so then they go past, they override Tenma. It'll be great for the hospital's image. We see Tenma. I love it whenever they show us Tenma being a doctor, because it's obvious how good of a doctor
he's such a good doctor. All of his patients love him. He has incredible
bedside
bedside manner.
Love him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he loves it. You can really see in his face that he really, really loves it. Mm-hmm.
And just how confused he is, I think, by the political stuff is the other thing, right? Why would you do this? Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
It's
which makes it a very like relatable. He's a very relatable character to the audience because we are also, you know, with our naive ideas about what medicine looks like, we're right with them. We're like, why are these guys being such jerks? Save the lives, you know. But of course it's more complicated and Kenzo, I guess maybe that's why Kenzo reads as such a dope, is because like, how are you being surprised by this?
Yeah.
This far into your medical career,
Yeah.
you know?
So then the last kind of mechanical thing of this is the director and some of the doctors involved in that political stunt are all found dead from the poison candy that you mentioned in the summary.
From the poisoned candy, and I'm gonna tell you this right now. Never explained.
Yeah, it feels a little convenient, right? You know.
It is for an author who is as honestly like meticulous as Urasawa tends to be. It is a bizarrely massive plot hole. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever.
How did this boy in the coma poison the candy?
And like they tell you, they're like, oh, he woke up. He did wake up, but what he woke up. He went to a fucking, you know, he went to the medicine cabinet. Then he poisoned the specific candies they were going to, like, what the fuck?
It's a little goofy, but I think it's, you know, it's good. I'm into it.
I think it's fun. It's just like it's a rare thing where Urasawa has gone for vibe over mechanic.
Yeah.
Normally he prefers a mechanic, I would say.
Okay.
But yeah. Oh, and I also had a note where they're like, so in this chapter, Kenzo gets drunk, which is also really fun. Mm-hmm. He gets drunk, he falls over in an alley, he cries to himself. And I just had a note where I'm like, when he's drunk, I bet you he's like yelling in Japanese.
Yeah,
and that just made the sequence really funny. Just imagining this really drunk dude just yelling in Japanese as he falls down in a...
Stumbling through the streets of Dusseldorf, falling over crates. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. It's really good. And we see like a wider range of facial expressions in this like page and a quarter from Tenma, mm-hmm. you know, than we have in the previous 3 chapters.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
He's going for it.
And then, of course, the director is dead. The director is dead, and then at the bottom of the page, Kenzo is like mumbling in his sleep, and he goes, "Those jerks. I wish they were dead."
It's nice, yeah.
It's so it really is. It really is. It's clean. It's clean. Chapter 5 then. Oh, chapter 5. Yes, chapter fucking 5. So I have a note for this, which is the first 9 pages of the chapter are flawless. A deluge. The adrenaline spikes so many times. The chapter begins, cops knock on his door. He's like, what's going on? Next page, it's just a shot of Tenma looking shocked as the police tell him they're all dead. You know, these guys have all been found dead. And then it's him rushing into the hospital. There's paparazzi. The hospital staff are all super stressed and just like, what the fuck is going on? There's some cops asking Tenma questions. They're like, can you think of anyone who had a grudge against these people? And then he's like, oh, fuck.
Oh, I did. Yeah, he has this realization. His
no.
face is just stuck in this shocked expression for those full 9 pages. Every reaction shot we get of Tenma is the same face, and it works so well.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, man. And it's like not only, you know, it's like, oh, these people are dead. Oh, they're gonna be going for Tenma. Oh, he's got a surgery. Oh, the twins are missing.
Kids are gone.
You know, the kids are fucking missing. Is there anything? There is almost nothing in fiction that will just get your heart going. Like, oh fuck, the kids are missing.
Yeah. Oh.
You know,
yeah,
like
yeah.
There's never like. Nothing good happens. Nothing good happens when the kids are missing.
Have you seen Severance? This is just a very quick pause to plug for Severance.
Fucking Apple TV. Fuck off. Give me your password.
I pirated it.
Oh, okay.
I'm not paying Steve Jobs' ghost to watch TV. but there's some good, oh no, the kids are gone moments in Severance that got my heart really going. But no, those first 9 pages are incredible. And then there's another one of those transitions. We turn the page and it's dead trees, a funeral.
Oh, dead trees. Yep. Oh, the funeral. Oh, that is good quiet. Too.
We go from what the hell is going on, I don't understand, to
I love that page. I love that page. I don't understand what the hell is going on. And like you spent the previous 4 chapters really, really spending time with Tenma and getting into his space, even if it's not like super populous. But you are just as fucking bewildered. Like this is like it's transitioned from like the previous chapters were like dread. Dread, like I fucked up, my life is kind of over, fuck. And now this sequence, I don't understand what the hell is going on. We have now transitioned fully into fear. We are feeling Tenma's fear very, very strongly. And the thing about that fear is, I don't understand what the hell is going on. We flip to the next page. It's a new scene. We don't know what the hell is going on. We are given no resolution for that. Which is so clean, going from this almost existential question, and Urasawa going, fuck off.
We just gotta keep moving, bro. So we have the funeral, and this is, we've got some good funeral drama, some screaming as the casket goes into the ground. Love it. That's always a good move. But then we are introduced to some detectives who are working this case, including one. How do I say his last name?
I think it's in the dub they call him Lunge.
Inspector Lunge of the BKA. Now, Quinn, do you want to tell our listeners about Inspector Lunge, and then I will.
Inspector Lunge is my favorite. I love him so much. So here's a Quinn fact. In the Quinn realm, there are 2 character archetypes that reign supreme, that have my heart, pretty much unconditionally, and that is the inventor archetype and the detective archetype. Okay. If a character is either one of those, I will like them. You can't stop me. And Lunge is honestly, even amongst detectives, someone who I think is really, really cool and fun. And like he frustrates me later in the series. Don't get me wrong. Okay. But Lunge is, I think Lunge is extremely, I think he's very, very well written. I think he's a character with very clear mechanics. And I honestly, I'm going to come out. I think Lunge is neurodivergent coded.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I mean that's what's going on here. I mean, and it's Lunge's thing, just for the listener, is Lunge is the BKA like Europol or something like that, like a
I think it's a Germany BKA Bundeskriminalamt.
Okay, so like FBI, Europol, whatever.
Yeah, it's Germany. It's German. FBI.
So he's a Sherlock Holmes is a very reductionist way to put it, right? He's got the photographic memory, and the mechanics of how he works is as he's conducting his interviews and talking to people, he's constantly doing like a typing motion with his fingers. And he tells a character, either in this chapter and one a little bit later on, that, this is, he imagines that he is inputting the information that, from his interviews into a floppy disk in the computer of his brain. And then he'll be able to, call it up at a moment's notice. And it's like you said, it's a cool mechanical thing. I just think it's a little corny. And that's more personal taste than anything else. I
think it's so cool, and I also put it in context, right? This is 1994.
Oh yeah, this is the coolest thing on earth. I mean, personal computers are, I don't even think we're in 94 yet because we haven't time skipped. It's still 86.
This is being
right?
it's published in 94.
The book's coming out in 94, right? This character is someone who extremely high tech is you know the implication here. And honestly, I think for me, and this comes back to, this is I think what I'm going to keep coming back to for these Urasawa things, is it's the face. He just seems so full of himself from this face, right?
Yes,
and I just look at him and just like,
absolutely.
you stupid motherfucker with your little computer discs. I am tired of you. But here's the thing, Quinn. Like, the way that I describe my memory to my friends is the exact same way. We had this joke that we would do in college.
So funny.
We had this joke we would do in college because my whole thing was I was really good at knowing what years movies came out, or like names of actors or things like that, or bits like that. And it was like, how do you remember all this trivia information? And my joke was, well, my mind, you know, my brain's a Rolodex, and I do this thing where I go over to where it is and pull it out, and there it is.
Yeah,
It's I am looking at someone who's doing my trick, and I'm just like, you dumb. I know what you're doing.
That's so funny. That contextualizes it, because I was honestly like, I don't know how Matt can be
opposed to this character.
Lunge. And now I understand. It's because he's stealing your sauce.
Well, it's not the hate us because they ain't us, but it's the other one. It's the other one.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting. The thing that the context thing that I was going to bring up is, hey, is the character in Death Note that hunts down the killer, is that the same deal as this?
No, I don't think he has the floppy disk thing going on.
Because for whatever reason,
he's just a genius.
Like the Sherlock Holmes,
I think he's just a genius
through manga character is a
well.
trope that
I think Lunge. He's not Sherlock Holmes.
Okay.
He's definitely not. Like, you kind of know when a manga Sherlock Holmes is happening, and I'm pretty confident in saying Lunge's not a Sherlock Holmes.
Is he more a perfect
and also,
recall thing than a Sherlock Holmes?
Yeah, exactly. I think it'll be interesting when we get to Pluto, to kind of... I think, actually, come to think about it, I think there's, like, detective characters in nearly every single Urasawa thing, because it's all mystery, so there's detectives somewhere.
Who's the detective in this story?
Yeah. You know, and the detectives all play different roles in the story, right? So Pluto, the detective, is your main character. And so I think... it's easy to look at Lunge now and be like, oh, well, this is the Sherlock Holmes. But I think once you see, like, the other ways that Urasawa approaches the detective archetype, you can be like, oh, okay. You know, Lunge's Lunge.
Yeah.
You will see Lunge's face on other characters, though. I think maybe it's a nod to Tezuka. It could be because Tezuka had a large stable of stock characters, which was a more common thing back then. Where he had certain faces and body types where he'd be like, oh, this is my mobster character.
Right.
Whenever there's a mobster, I use this guy, even if they're not technically the same guy, because functionally they are, right? So Urasawa does a little bit of that where he'll have some faces.
Stephen King has one Italian character that he writes, and it shows up all the time.
That's true.
So it's the same deal, similar deal. Okay, and I think part of the other thing is, like, you know, up to this point, you know, we're... you know, Tenma's the main character. We're on Tenma's side. This is a guy who's showing up and putting pressure on Tenma, someone who we know is innocent, right? So I feel like the story almost wants you to be like, who is this dude? What's he doing? Come on, what's this guy's deal?
Yeah.
So that's kind of that's what I've got right here on him. But
I love Lunge. And then we spend a bit of time with Tenma and his patients, and they're all like, don't go. Because Tenma during the funeral was like, man, I'm going back to Japan. This shit sucks. But then some of his patients are like, you're the... I'm looking right at the panel. You're the best doctor we've got. Please don't tell me you're leaving. And then he gets called into a meeting. The nurse says, we're all rooting for you. Please don't quit.
I love how much all the nurses love him is the other thing. It's just... Oh, buddy.
And the nurses, and again, to talk about Urasawa, you know, Urasawa's immense respect for people.
Yeah.
The nurses all have very, very different faces and bodies. Yep. He draws women very respectfully, very realistically. It's really... Urasawa's just great. Urasawa's just great with women.
Well, that's
I think.
I'm
Yeah.
glad that as we embark on this podcast about a creator's works, you're telling me that they're good with women. So
That they're good with women?
So that I
Yeah.
don't have to just sit here and make the face for...
Yeah,
however-
Urasawa, no horny problems.
Okay,
no
good.
horny problems
Love to hear
with
it.
Urasawa.
Love to hear it.
Which is also another thing that sets him apart, come to think of it.
That is interesting.
Even amongst seinen.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I love the ending of this chapter. I love it. Or not the ending, but I love this next bit. So he gets called into this meeting, and he gets appointed chief of surgery, right? So just like, imagine, like, put yourself in Tenma's fucking shoes. Like, all this shit has happened. You stuck with your guns. You were punished for it. You lost your fucking engagement to your shithead fiance. The shithead director of the hospital, straight up told you you'll never go anywhere.
Oh, and publicly embarrassed you, like, at a party.
And publicly embarrassed you at a fucking party. And then he fucking dies, and you get appointed chief of surgery.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I just love this, where he starts laughing, he slumps against the wall and starts crying, and he says, life is unbelievable.
Life is unbelievable.
And and that is, because, like, that's the thing, like, we see Tenma, and it's like, oh, he's subdued, oh, he's kind of bland. This, not bland anymore.
No.
Nope. That's a
The
human.
mask is cracked.
That's a person.
He's crying.
Third dimension.
Mm-hmm.
Right there. That is something, like, this sequence of panels is something that can only occur if the character has interiority, and that interiority is allowed to crunch the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Ava tries to get back with him.
And he doesn't. He just looks sad, I think, is the thing that's important to take away here. Like, what a horrible move on her part. Just terrible person all the way through. But, like,
yeah.
he just looks so sad again. My sad doctor boy. And then he goes back to do surgery. It's a good end to a chapter. Prepare the patient for surgery. And here's the thing. That's the end of a short story right there. That's a pulp serial magazine. This doctor did the right thing and got punished for it, but then everyone died. He was made chief of surgery, and everyone lived happily ever after. And then, time skip.
Time skip, yeah, and it's also important to note, time skip happens here at the end of the chapter, and not at the beginning of the next one. The last page is the first page of the time skip. Mm-hmm. Prepare this patient for surgery. It's 9 years. We are in 1995, baby.
The year of my birth.
Yeah, and there's also something really interesting. So
yeah, I saw this in your notes. Tell us about this. I'm excited.
Yeah, so it opens on Cologne in 1995, and it's flooded all to fuck. And we're hanging out with Lunga and a couple of other cops. Just rowing their boats through the super flooded streets of this town. This flood was a real thing. That actually did happen in January of 1995, right? And Chapter 1 of Monster was released in June of... Or no, what? Oh no, sorry. This chapter was released in June of 1995, okay. Right?
So this is like happening as he's writing this chapter, probably.
Exactly. It's writing as he's thinking about it. And you just know that Urasawa was watching the news. He was like being like, oh, what's going on in Germany? And he saw on the TV footage of this flood, and he was like, I've just gotta use that. Like, I've just gotta grab that shit, because it's such a cool setting. It must have felt very serendipitous to him. And it does make for a really, really cool, and I might go so far as to say, like, iconic opening to a chapter, because it's just so unique. Like, I've never seen it here. I've never seen it anywhere else. It's so, and it has that aspect of realism, because it's a real thing that happened at the real time and in the real place.
It's great. The cops walking on these scaffolds that have been kind of constructed in the flooded streets, the corpses being carried out on them. It's very heightened. It's a little scary. It's disorienting. Yes. It's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we hang out. Oh, another fun thing when Lunge's doing his little typing thing, we actually get sound effects as if he's typing on a real computer.
Oh no, I do like that. I think that's good. Do you think he's saying taka taka taka, or is he?
I think it's just like internal. I think we're kind of like in his head. He hears it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the anime doesn't have actual typing sounds, which is for the best.
Yeah, that would be corny. Hey, here's a quick question. For onomatopoeia in manga, do you... Yeah. One of my pet peeves, this is a thing that kept me... Well, it's so... When I was reading the Akira manga, it really frustrated me, was there was a glossary at the back that would tell me what all the onomatopoeia meant. And I was just like, why wouldn't you just translate this for me? Because now I have to flip back and forth to see what these sounds are. Like, I like the way they look. I love the look of the Japanese characters, right? But just, like, I get frustrated not knowing that I'm missing
exactly
things.
What it fucking means. I mean, there's nothing really to be done about it, because if you were to, like, translate it, like, redraw it, it's just not going to feel right.
You're right, yeah.
You know, there was a...
Unwinnable situation.
It's an unwinnable situation. It's really untranslatable. But there is one manga called Kurosagi Corpse Delivery Service, which is localized unbelievably well. The translation is gorgeous and funny and amazing. And in the back of the book, it has the most detailed sound effect glossary, and also Japanese like cultural reference glossary.
Oh, that's good. Yeah,
that's really good.
Yeah, I'm looking at the traits for this. This looks cool. I'm gonna have to check this out.
It's awesome. It's really great. I love it a lot. But Japanese onomatopoeia, I'm sure that many of the people listening already know, but they're interesting because these motherfuckers have an onomatopoeia for every goddamn thing.
Yep.
They have one for opening your mouth, for speaking, for chewing, for biting. Like all of these, like every separate thing, every separate concept or sound, like they'll have onomatopoeias for shit that don't even make noise. You know, like they have onomatopoeias for sneaking.
For the camera zooming in.
Yeah, exactly, for the camera zooming in. Like, and actually there's a really interesting, just a quick side note. So in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, you know the famous shot of Dio kissing Erina, you know, where he kisses her? One thing that is like almost impossible for us to like comprehend reading that is that the onomatopoeia, there's a giant onomatopoeia behind it, and it's one that Araki made up to look and feel super wrong. It's a zugyun. And actually in the anime, they made this like cool like electric guitar like to kind of communicate that. But that's just, you know, like manga does a lot of work with onomatopoeia that we as Westerners who aren't fucking fluent in Japanese just can't access. Just can't access.
All of my life is me not being able to play the Japanese Mother 1 and 2 Game Boy Advance cards that I bought when I was a freshman in high school. That's just the rest of my life is that.
Yeah.
Anyway. So let's see. Okay,
yeah, and then we spend chapter 6. We spend most of this chapter seeing Tenma have a good time. We get a shot of Becker going, "Oh, for crying out loud! If I were in your shoes, I'd have 5 mistresses by now."
Just what a terrible dude that we love, who's also a bad doctor is the other thing. It's just like there's no reason to like this guy, but
he's just like a general shithead. But you'll love him. You'll love Becker.
You gotta love him.
Yeah.
So this is kind of when the bulk of your summary, I think, was here, right? There's Adolf Junkers. He's he's a criminal who's brought in. Tenma operates on him. The police want to question him in connection to these murders that are happening. Lunge shows back up.
It's very strongly implied. So strongly implied. Lunge all but says, "I'm gunning for you." Yeah, no, he's he's doing the it'd be a shame if anything happened to those legs. You know, but that's not what totally.
Cops do. I can't remember. You know,
honestly, almost a Columbo, almost a Columbo act in this chapter. You know, at this rate, you'll be director in no time, don't you think? You know, and even then, like later, I can't believe I didn't make this connection, but you know, Tenma's like, "What are you getting at, Inspector?" And he's like, "Oh, nothing. It's just the nature of my job to constantly think about these things." Right. That's a Columbo. And also, for those of you who don't know, Japan loves Columbo.
Who doesn't love Columbo? To be honest,
no,
I know. Columbo.
Japan loves Columbo enough to have made a Japanese version of Columbo
with the Japanese guy.
With the Japanese guy, or like it's a separate like cop show, and the guy like dresses and acts like Columbo.
Oh,
it's like,
hang on, I gotta see it.
I know, it's crazy.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, no, it's really good. So Japan loves Columbo.
Yeah, and I know that because what is it? Is it Great Detective Conan where there's I feel like there's a young Columbo that shows up in that too.
Oh,
that I see going around on Twitter all the
believe
time.
it.
Here he is, my boy.
Let me see this guy. I want to see this guy. Oh, yes, I have seen this guy.
Yeah.
I love the guy. Anyway, so Lunge does a Columbo on Tenma.
We've got a real good shot of Junkers that closes this one where he just says the monster is coming. And he just looks so scared. His skull-like face, you know. It's
totally.
And Ten was just
totally
confused.
the cheekbones.
The monster?
The monster? the monster?
The monster.
Yeah. Oh, and I was also saying in the pacing notes, this chapter really feels like an early peek into Naoki's suspense and investigation flavor.
Okay.
Like there's different, like Urasawa has different flavors. And I'm, of course, you may know, shamelessly stealing this concept from Action Button and Tim Rogers. But there's a few different flavors for Urasawa stuff, and this is definitely the suspense and investigation flavor, where you spend a chapter really, like, asking questions, trying to uncover stuff, and spending your time immersed in the intrigue as opposed to necessarily moving stuff forward very quickly. And I just think that's an interesting thing to keep track of, is like, what's Urasawa? What's his plan? What is he doing in this chapter? And we were talking a bit earlier about how Urasawa is a little of a kind with Stephen King, and
yes.
Or at least he likes Stephen King. And I think one thing they have in common is they don't outline. Urasawa doesn't outline his chapters. He just knows what he wants to happen, and then he just goes.
And that feels kind of evident, I think, in these last two, especially because they feel like, flipping through it, I was kind of like, I was trying to find where the break is. It feels like it's one longer chapter instead of two. I mean, because there's not a whole lot that happens. I mean, this is the revelation, right? Like, you know, Junkers is him and Tenma have a heart-to-heart. They talk about stuff. He tells this nice story about, you know, he wanted this cuckoo clock, and that's what led him into this life of crime. Tenma's going to go and do the good thing and get him this cuckoo clock, and then things...
Which, you come to think of it, is that would we say that's a Kingian move?
I think so. The kind of story like that, a little bit, where we've got characters kind of monologuing about, you know, their rough childhood or things like that. And then the King move here is, the way this chapter would end if Stephen King wrote it would be... and as Dr. Tenma left to, you know, buy a cuckoo clock for Junkers, he never knew that this was the last time that he'd see him alive.
yeah, totally.
That's the King move right there. So it's there's some lines that we can draw right there. It's that kind of I'm telling a ghost story around the campfire type thing a little bit.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah, we learn Adolf, you know, he just wanted the clock. And then Adolf is like, the monster killed my friends, your murder buddies. And I really love, this is also a really good, there's another example of a really good Urasawa hide stuff behind pages, where Junkers is trying to find a police officer to confess to his crimes. And he's like, officer, and the bottom left panel is this really good lit from below classic horror
freeze frame
face of shock and horror, and then you're like, oh fuck, what's on the next page? And you turn it, and it's just a little panel of a present of the present that Tenma had bought for him, and that, you know, again, Urasawa just absolutely fucking knows. Like, not only does he know how to set up expectations and deliver on them, he knows when to exactly. He knows when to set up expectations and then not and then deliver something else. You know, it's really it's again, the word is deft. It's so deft. And then of course it's he starts running. He does a little bit of running. It's a little bit actiony. It's maybe it's one of the more actiony sequences in this part of the manga. And then we're treated
to the most terrifying parking garage you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah. Is it a parking? I guess it's. I think it's a parking garage.
Yeah, this is a parking garage. No one's there for some reason. It's a parking garage that's under construction.
Well, it's middle of the night. Yeah. And then we have the monster Johann, in silhouette there. You saved my life 9 years ago. And now we're on to Chapter 8,
Execution Night.
Yeah.
Now, do you want to talk about the spread as I look at it?
I do want to talk about the spread, and then we'll
kind of speed to the end and go through our segments.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a whole awful lot to talk about in Chapter 8. No, honestly,
it's just kind of
we've already said the stuff that matters. So pages 2 and 3 of Chapter 8 are a really, really wonderful spread. And it's very simple. It's just this construction site, you know, it's just this parking garage. And the light is coming in from the left. Johann is silhouetted in it. Then you've got Adolf kneeling in the light, you know, looking up at Johann. And then over in shadow, but lit from the front by the light, over to the right, we have Tenma. And so it's this really great, really, really, really great use of space and lighting. And one of the reasons I want to draw attention to this is that in both Eastern and Western comics traditions, spreads are traditionally used to capture big things. Flashy things or stuff that you really want to be like, look at this, isn't this awesome, or isn't this or isn't this that, and this is an extremely still page. There's no motion in it whatsoever, but it is such a powerfully evocative and symbolic image. And I think it's really startlingly good.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I've just been flipping through. I think these pages are all so good. Yeah, it's I don't know.
Yeah.
I know your notes on this after the spread are that, you know, maybe you know, we're filling it out a little bit. We're padding, you know, we're repeating what's going on. We're making it extremely clear. But I think every single frame here is just. The space, I think, is the word that comes to mind for me. Is it is giving the appropriate amount of space for how serious what we've got going on here is. It's good. I like it. This whole sequence, I'm a fan of. The one thing that I was going to bring up in this section is, I mean, there's kind of it's a dialogue that's a little bit tiring of Junker's just kind of making it extremely clear what's going on. You know, this dude killed my friend. Yeah. He's a monster. He doesn't want you to see him. You know, Johann and Tenma have kind of a conversation about, you know, why you're doing this. You know, you set my life on a different track, this, that, the other. And this is where it sets up, you know, okay, what's the thing we know about Tenma? The whole thing is, you know, he is trying to refute the idea that some lives are worth more than others, right? That's his, like, driving thing from these first 8 chapters. And Junkers uses a phrase, he says, lives mean nothing to him. In reference to the monster. So it's just very clearly putting these two kind of viewpoints, these worldviews at odds with each other. And I think this works for me in the same way that I thought some of the political stuff a little bit earlier was clunky. For me, at just laying it right out for you, for me like this, this works. This
Yeah.
I would say is a king move, right? Is the black versus the white, right? We've got a
Totally.
very clear good guy versus bad guy.
Yeah. And I would say that's something that Urasawa was also interested in. Think about this. This kind of thing comes up both in. I think it comes up in pretty much all of his other works that I've read, too. It takes different forms and the conversation is different, but black and white, I mean, black versus white is really, that's a major thing in Billy Bat,
Okay.
actually. I think in Billy Bat, black is good and white is bad.
Well, that makes sense if that's a book about, artists and animation and stuff, You've got...
gosh, is it about that?
Space?
Man, it's Billy...
We'll see.
Dude, I don't think anyone could actually guess what Billy Bat is about if they hadn't read it. It's
Can't
fucking
wait. I'm excited.
insane. Yeah, but no, you're totally right. And I think these characters as being reflections, or as being set up as diametrically opposed.
And that's what that spread wants us to see, right? It's a
exactly. Yeah, Tenma's core belief is that everyone's life is equal and valuable.
Mm-hmm.
Johan's
equal,
core
I think,
belief,
is the big thing.
Yeah,
because it's an equity thing, right? For him, where it's just like what is fair.
Yeah.
Everyone deserves. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and Johan's deal, so we are told right now, is no one's life is worth anything. And that life has no inherent value. And this sets up the conversation, right? The manga is... A lot of the heart of the manga is the conversation between these 2 points. Why would a life be worth more or less or equal? Why would a life matter at all? That's, like, this is kind of the opening salvo of, or if not the opening salvo, because that was chapter 1, this is like the first major skirmish. I don't want to say I love it, but Junker's death is horrific.
It's pretty good. Yeah, he. I do think it's interesting that he dies facing him. I don't know if that means anything, but that, because he scrambles around to try to tell the doctors to tell Tenma to save him, and then turns around and faces the monster as he kills him, and is in like a kneeling before him kind of. Okay, so maybe here we're really in the Revelation. Maybe we are back in Revelation now.
Oh, fuck! I hadn't even noticed that. Yeah, it's almost like as he takes that second fucking shot in the head, it looks...
He's prostrating
It looks very much like, he is. Oh, man.
It's good, I think.
Oh, dear.
Oh, dear.
And then for some reason, we spend a little bit of time with Lunge. It really... the pacing in chapter 8 is by far the weakest.
It's weird, but it does feel like it feels like it's what you want, right? It's like he's just going and being like, hey, I want to diffuse this tension between us. I am coming clean with you about what's going on here. Like, we're trying to make it so that we don't have that as a source of tension. I don't really know if it works, but it feels like something that would be better fit at the beginning of the next chapter rather than, because like the ending point feels like, it's the page with I do like that we sit with Tenma for a second as the monster goes down the stairs.
Definitely. Well, it's like in theater studies,
yes,
here we go. I can pull in my meager education. Basically, the climax of a scene or a play or a work, whatever, the climax occurs at the precise moment when the question of the scene, work, whatever, is answered. And I'm pretty sure the climax of the scene is answered when Johann shoots Junkers. And so to then have, like, another minor scene after that is formally, I would say, a mistake.
Yeah, it's weird. I'm with you. So
yeah.
Again, this is reductionist because of the manga that I know, but that's the monster's face. That to me, that's a griffin. That's a Sephiroth. That's a
That it's the evil pretty boy.
yeah.
He is the evil pretty boy. That's definitely falling into that for sure.
So
but yeah, that's chapters 1 through 8. That's volume.
The first talk about.
That's volume 1 of Monster. And I think it's the least interesting one.
Wow. Here's the thing. Folks listening at home, I can finally read the rest of the second half of this one. I've been waiting for
I've been
excited.
Yeah, we've been waiting for this for a minute.
So, man, what a good discussion. That was a lot of fun. Hey, I know you had said, we'll probably come up with some more segments as we go, but I think, the initial ones that we had were we wanted to talk about our favorite Tenma moments, our favorite named character moments, and our favorite kind of minor or unnamed character moments. Yeah. Yep.
Do you wanna go first?
Yeah, I can go first. We'll start with the Tenma ones. I'll do mine and then you can do yours. My favorite Tenma moment is in chapters 6 and 7, after the time skip. It's stuff we've talked about, Tenma being a good doctor, having good bedside manner. It's all of the shots of him sitting in the grass next to his patients while they're outside. I think that's my favorite Tenma moments here. Because you think about, doctors wear white coats, you're going to get grass stains, but, he doesn't care. I think it's good.
Yeah. No, that is a really sweet one. I think mine is one that I've already mentioned. It's when he's crying and he says life is really unbelievable.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Because that's just the moment when he really cracks open as a character, and it's such a genuine moment of emotion. Definitely a high point.
Perfect.
The high point of Tenma for this reading.
Chunk. Yeah. No, I'm with you there. So next, the name character for me this time it goes to Dr. Becker. It's in the second or third chapter. It's the moment when Tenma kind of makes the decision that, he's not going to let Becker do this surgery. He's going to be the one who does the surgery on the boy. And the other doctors are kind of talking about what a joke Dr. Becker is, right? And to this point, we've seen him as, hey, he's a good dude. He doesn't care about the politics. But here's when they kind of say he's not capable of doing this. And we kind of all make jokes about him just sleeping with nurses is his deal. And it's just kind of what are you gonna do?
That's such a that really is Becker's vibe. For sure.
So that was it for me.
Yeah, definitely. I love Becker. My favorite named character moment. I know I'm going for the big hits here, but some lives are worth more than others.
Yeah, you can't beat that one. That one's fairly good. It's a gut punch. I think the first time I read it, I wasn't sure what the read on Ava was until she says that, and it's oh, I know your whole deal right now. It's It tells you so much, and it's such. I don't know. It's the thing. How do I put it? It's such a horrific thing to say, and yet something that she just says it so casually.
So believable. She says it so casually, and it's so believable that someone in her position would say that. It's not a cartoonishly evil position.
How's she gonna feel any differently with that dude as her dad?
Yeah, but it's and that really that panel you could say is.
I think it's the core of at least the first 4 or 5 issues.
Yeah, it's not exactly the inciting incident, but it kind of is.
It may as well be.
It's when Tenma really begins to ask himself the question. Mm-hmm. So it's really important, and I think it's really fun. And you have a side character? Yeah,
so for my side character, it's in that same section that my favorite Tenma moment came from. It's in the beginning of chapter 6. There's Tenma comes back to the hospital, and there's a nurse trying to help a young boy in a wheelchair fly a kite. And she's like, "I'm sorry, I've never flown a kite before." And I think that's my favorite minor character moment here.
Yeah. I like how your moments, like 2 out of your 3 moments are these moments of tenderness.
It's the nice ones. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the nice ones. But my moments are all the moments that let me see the most of a character. Yes. Because my third moment is I'm not sure if he's named or not. He might be Investigator Heisbach. I think he is, but he's still a side enough character. But when the scene at the beginning of chapter 4, Anna's in the wheelchair and he's just like kind of talking through the case a bit. And I really like this little bit where he's like, we're not likely. I'm just gonna read this little sequence of things. Yeah, we're not likely to get anywhere with this case until that bothersome Berlin Wall comes down. In any case, since the victim was a high-ranking East German official, we have to wrap this up quickly or the BKA, the federal police, will come nosing around. They always come waltzing in and make off with our cases. That's why I can't afford to waste time. And I just think, like,
that's good.
This, like, that is all you need to understand this guy is right there. 3 panels. 3 panels, 5 text boxes, and you're like, oh, I get this dude's priorities. I understand what he understands about the world, and what he values. And I just think that's a really cool move.
Yeah, it's very quickly going from stock characters to something that's a little bit more fleshed out.
Exactly, and that is Urasawa all over. We only picked a couple, but it's riddled throughout. Yeah. Throughout this reading and the manga as a whole and all of his work.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to keep going with Monster. I'm really excited to keep going into the rest of Urasawa's work, but this feels like a really good place to start and to I'm excited to keep talking about this with you. And I'm excited about the conversation we've had today. So we'll see where it goes from here. Do you have any ideas for sign-offs? Or is there anything do we want to plug at the end? Just kind of real quick ourselves again.
Yeah, well, we should plug the Patreon.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Insofar as it exists,
mm-hmm. It's there.
I would like a cute sign off.
We'll come up. With
I can't. We'll come up with one. But yeah. Matt, who are you, and where can people find you on the internet?
I'm Matt Fennell. You can find me at MattStraight95 on Twitter. That's the main space that I exist. Yeah.
I am Samuel Quinn Morris. You can find me at 200 Proof Games, 200 Proof Games, at Twitter. And
you can find the Twitter for the show at Urasawa Boys.
Oh, right.
We were able to get the ad.
Right.
Yeah, so we did some division of labor last night. I run the Twitter. I was thinking about signing all of our tweets with signatures so you could see who they're coming from, but I'm gonna decide if that's a bit I want to stick with or not. We'll see. But at Urasawa Boys, there's a link to the Patreon there, which I think is patreon.com/Urasawa Boys.
And if you were to support us, we have a few tiers right now, and obviously, look, we both work full-time jobs. We don't have jobs that really give us a huge amount of free time to do this. So if you like what we do, if you want us to have more time to dedicate to it, to make cool bonus content, to watch the anime and make content about that, then support us on Patreon and help us break from the tyranny of the day job so that we can do more cool stuff for you. Because, like any vaguely creative folk, there's all kinds of cool stuff that we love to do.
We have lots of ideas for things that we want to do, and this is just one of them. So, yeah, if you... I'll just put this out now. Whoever subscribes to the Patreon first, I'll send you a little postcard with a little drawing on it.
Oh.
Just one
cute.
of you. Just one of you.
Cute.
So,
all right.
Thanks for listening. Have a good one, everyone. And Quinn, you got to sign off.
Okay, here's the question. So, should the sign off be like Monster, or should it just be like General?
Oh, we're gonna do a General Urasawa one. For a general
Urasawa. Okay, then I've got it.
Okay, go.
Everybody, thanks for listening, and thanks for being a friend.
Oh, that's good.